All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are here for the Xometry webinar here for the Partner Guide, the new revision that we just released. My name is Brian Degnan, and I'm here with our quality manager, Bart Lucian. Bart, if you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
My name is Bart Lucian. I wanted everyone to know that I'm a journeyman machinist. So I have made parts in the shop. I understand tolerancing, GD&T, from manual machines to CNC machines. So if you have any specific questions, don't hesitate whatsoever to address them. Like Brian spoke to, we are here to go over the guide. However, if there are any other metrology questions, machining questions, don't hesitate to talk about anything. We're here to help both of us, yourselves and us.
Yep, that's right. And then just to talk a little bit about myself, I've been here at Xometry for over a year now. Just started out working on the project engineering team, and now I lead the team here. I'm not sure what partners we have on the line, but I know I speak to a lot of you guys often about jobs and things like that, and just dealing with customers as well. Yeah, that's just everything about me and Bart, so let's get to it.
And we can't stress enough that our objective here today is to not only explain our new guide we're putting out, but to make sure we have a clear understanding of your needs too. So again, don't hesitate if there's some questions within the guide that possibly aren't worded correctly. Bring them up. Don't be afraid to ask a question.
Yep, definitely. All right, so for the presentation, we're really just going to go through the guide. I'm just going to cover a lot of the basics. Bart will cover a lot of the quality issues. So obviously looking at page 2, not a lot of things that changed here, but you know, really just going over how the platform works. If anybody is curious how the platform works, you can feel free to take a look at the quoting site, get.xometry.com/quote. You can see how our customers are quoting the work that you guys are seeing on the job board, but basically customers will upload parts to our website, they'll get a quote instantaneously, and then if they purchase that quote, we will send it out to the job board, and then we have a sorting algorithm that will match partners to the parts that we're putting out on the job board, things that we feel are suited for you guys based on the machinery that you have, etc. I think a lot of you guys, if you're veteran partners, you're already familiar with this. If we have any new partners on the line, just wanted to go over that for any of the new partners. One thing we want to stress is we know a lot of our drawings, or excuse me, a lot of our parts that go up to the job board don't have drawings currently. And that's something that we're actually going to be working on through different initiatives. It's something that me and Bart are currently exploring, ways to get more prints to partners to kind of help you guys out, because I know a lot of partners out there are looking for prints, especially for things regarding to, you know, quality and things like that. It's like, how do you check a part when you don't have a print? So that's something that we're currently working on. But obviously right now, a lot of our jobs are really just 3D models. And, you know, it's something that you should expect up there, ±5 standard to our 3D models that you see up there. All right, I think we can jump over to page 3. So setting up your account, no changes here really, but, you know, if there are any new partners on the line, obviously when you're setting up your account, just make sure to input all your machines, your finishing capabilities, any certifications that you have. Definitely make sure you get those in there, because that'll help us route the work to you correctly. For instance, if you're an ITAR shop, we want to make sure that you have your ITAR certification uploaded to our site so we can get you ITAR work, which is obviously typically a higher dollar value. That's something that we're stressing. We're trying to recruit more ITAR partners. Then obviously you'll have to sign our NDA agreement and fill out our onboarding questionnaire. Once you pass all that stuff, we'll send you your first job, test job, which we'll see on the next page, going to page 4 now. So this is something we've been doing for the past, like 3 or 4 months now, I think, Bart, test parts, right? So all new partners now are required to do a test part. If there's anybody on the line that hasn't signed up yet, this is something that you guys will be going through. And then once you hit a certain quality level, we will have a partnership directly to our customers. And if your quality is not very good, then we'll actually put you guys on suspension. So that's just covered here on this page. Navigating the job board, really no changes here. But anybody that has any questions on the job board, all the information is right here on that. Obviously, price, lead time, material, everything can be found on the job board, quantities, job requirements, and then once you accept the job, we generate the PO automatically. It's a really nice system. It's very streamlined. So if anybody has any questions on that, we'll be fielding questions at the end, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Going to page 6, just going over partner photos. This hasn't changed at all from the last guide. Obviously, just an example of good photos, bad photos there. Yeah, pretty straightforward. All right.
Probably, this is Bart. Probably the biggest changes to the partner guide revolve around pages 7 through, let's say, 11. So let's go through those in detail. If you look at page 7, it's just a checklist, and it's made out to help you. It's just so we don't forget to do certain things. Like, did we make sure we sent the part out to plating? Did we make sure that we put in helicoils? Little things like that. It's been my experience that things are easy to miss if you don't follow a certain process, a traveler, something like that. This checklist is not to be packaged up and sent with the parts. All it is something to assist you, just to make sure you're complete with everything that you did. Did you send material certifications when it's required? Did you fill out your inspection report? It's like a last ditch. A final inspector would say, yes, I did, yes, I did, yes, I did. That's all this is. It's merely to help you. If you turn to page 12, this is where we're talking about the print and the inspection documentation requirements.
Page 8, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, page 8. If we supply you with a print, you will need to balloon it, but just hand balloon it, nothing elaborate or extensive, just hand balloon it 1 through, for these examples, let's use 10 attributes. Let's say we have 10 dimensions to check: kept hole, length, width, height, overall slot width, depth, things like that. Let's say there's 10 different dimensions on a print. Number them 1 through 10 on your inspection report that can be downloaded from the website. You'll see that is, I believe there's 35 different attributes. All you have to do is balloon the print 1 through 10 on the inspection report, 1 through 10, write down the dimension, the tolerance, and your reading. It's very simple. What I've seen, and as Brian spoke to, he's been here a little over a year. I've only been here 3 months, and it appears to me, looking at how many parts we have coming in, that we simply just forget to check certain dimensions. It's just that simple. And if we would write them down and check them, we're both successful. And that's what we're trying to achieve. If you turn to page 9, this is a complete new entry, material test reports, plating documents, and CSC. If we ask you to supply a material test report, it has to make sure that it states the chemical and mechanical properties, that it is, let's stay with our same example of 10 parts. If it's 316 stainless, make sure it says 316 stainless, little things like that. And if you go to the plating and finish document requirements, let's say we're going to send that stainless out and have it passivated. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the passivation mill standard is.
AMS 2700.
2700?
That's right.
If it's required, if you look at the print, or if you look at our traveler, our router, the information provided to you on the PO, if it says 2700, mill standard 2700, then the plating cert needs to state that. That is to cover you, to make sure that you did have it passivated correctly, and you're passing it on to us, and we have it passivated correctly. That's all it is. It's a formality. Now, if you go to the bottom of page 9, and I actually want to read this aloud. The relationship between the CAD model and the blueprint. These are some of our larger changes. All geometry and dimensioning will automatically default to the CAD model. If a print is also supplied, it's supporting information the model cannot capture. Examples of this are GD&T, tap sizes, inserts, helicoils, PEMs, any number of things, hardware, dowel pins, surface roughness requirements. They're well better than a standard 125, and tolerance block, specific tolerance, things like that. Turning to page 10, if you only have a CAD model, if that's the only thing that you're given, the tolerances, I'll stress that word, tolerances that apply are plus or minus 5. Those are for features of size. Now, there's a chart underneath that for different sizes of parts. If your part is within a 12-inch envelope, you have 5. If it grows, you have 10, so on and so forth.
And this is for GD&T, right, Bart?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
That is for paragraph 2 for features of orientation. Mm-hmm. If a blueprint is provided, however, all tolerances, and note that is underlined, the tolerances of the print supersede the CAD model tolerancing above. So we're going away from plus or minus 5, and we're going to specifically the tolerance block on the print. When we ask for a standard finish, that is an as-machine finish. That does not mean Scotch-Brighted, doesn't mean palm sander. It's just as you machine it, deburr it, and send it in. If there are any specific surface finish requirements, it'll say bead blast, grit blast, so on and so forth. But generally, it is as machined. That is a standard finish, as machined. Not palm sanded, not Scotch-Brighted, things like that.
Not tumbled.
Not tumbled.
Right.
Yeah. Bottom of page 10, top of page 11, you also have tolerances for sheet metal, which we omitted from the previous guide, standard in the industry. And on the bottom of that, you have, if you're supplied blueprints for GD&T callouts, things like that. So it's really straightforward. If you read in detail those pages 7 through 11, they should answer most all of your questions. If you have specific questions, send them into, Brian, is it work or support?
Work@Xometry.com.
Send them into work@Xometry.com, and our engineers would be happy to address any specifics that you have.
Yep, that's right. All right. So going to page 12, just cover shipping policy. So most of this stuff is pretty straightforward. Typically, we provide partners with 2-day or ground labels, depending on what ground zone you might be in. And then obviously, you guys know you can generate the shipping label through our online portal just by using the ship button on the current jobs page. And then the ship button obviously won't appear until all stages of the workflow have been completed. And then you can print your packing slip once you get over there and kind of go through that. Just one thing I wanted to touch on here, though. I mean, this is all pretty straightforward. None of this has really changed from the last guy, but we do have a note in here, obviously, if there's anything regarding like multiple packages or freight or anything like that, then you guys can obviously contact us. You can contact us at work@Xometry.com regarding any of that, and we can help you guys out with any special shipping or anything like that. And one thing we want to stress in here as well, this was in the last version of the guide, but we haven't really acted on this, is the $50 late fee. So moving forward, that's something that we're going to start acting on in the month of February. I think it's been in the guide for about 6 or 7 months or so, but we haven't really had the resources to act on it, but we will be tracking partner on time And we'll be trying to also make sure that the data is correct for that as well. I know in the past we've had partners that have actually shipped jobs on time but were marked late in the system, so we're going to be going through making sure that data is correct, and then anybody who has actually shipped late, we will be charging a $50 fee for that. And the reasoning for that really is because the system actually will automatically upgrade any shipping for any late jobs. So if you ship on time, you'll get a 2-day or a ground label. If you're shipping late, you will get a priority overnight label. So obviously we're paying for that upcharge. So you know, we'll be charging you guys back for that on PO. So please make sure on-time delivery. You know, it's definitely really important for us. It's something that we want to try to stress with all partners. Packaging, nothing's really changed from this. If anybody's seen the last version of the guide, this is really the same as the last version of the guide. Very straightforward, but we've been doing really well with packaging. That's one thing I'll definitely say. From when I started here a year ago, we had a lot of issues with shipping damage with partners, and all partners out there, you guys have been doing really well with packaging. You know, everybody's following the packaging guidelines for the most part, so that's definitely great. Invoicing and payment, obviously, we don't have anybody from.
Oh, Brian, before you move on from packaging.
Sure. Yep.
Some things that I've noticed when packages arrive. You know that we can't trust FedEx or UPS to be careful with packages.
That's right.
You know, they're just going to throw boxes in a truck and send them. Mm-hmm. The most damage that I've seen are from heavy parts, and when I say heavy, I'm estimating now. I want to say 3 pounds and up. If it's steel, like a 4140, 836, 1045, something like that, it's a 3-inch by 3-inch block. Those guys are heavy, and they can break through boxes, and also large plates. Let's say you have a large plate of aluminum, maybe a half, 3/4 inch thick by 2 inches or 2 feet wide by 3 feet long. You really need to protect the corners. I know you can look in Uline and buy the cardboard corner protectors. You can actually tape those right on the parts. There's a lot of edge damage on large plates and again on heavy parts. So that's where we see the most damage. And the bad thing about that is, being a machinist, I almost cry when I see these parts and how much time people put in them to make them beautiful. And the machining job is beautiful. And then it gets beat up in transit. And there's no reason for it. So take a little extra time. Just make sure they're protected, because you don't know what's going to happen once you drop them off at FedEx.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That was good to bring that up, Art. Even, you know, we have been doing a lot better on packaging, but the issues that we do see are on the heavy parts, which typically are a higher dollar value as well. So those hurt. Yeah, that's right. All right. Just moving forward on to invoicing and payment. Everything is pretty straightforward here. Obviously, we use Tapalti. Anybody that might be new out there, but all the current partners, you guys are obviously familiar with this. And then the payment schedule had changed, but I believe we covered this in the last version of the guide that was released. So now, you know, we do 2 pay dates, and then we really wanted to make it very straightforward here. We just kind of threw in an example as well for you guys. If anybody has any questions on that, you can always write into work@xometry.com, or you could just ask us here at the end. Here, we're almost done here. All right. I'm just jumping over to the last page. Just some additional information on invoicing. We do want to make sure people invoice within 30 days. So I know that's been an issue in the past where, what?
Go ahead. No, you're good.
No, I'm good. Okay. I know that's been an issue in the past where we've had partners kind of hold on to their POs for a while before they invoice. We want to make sure everybody's invoicing within 30 days. And then one other thing I want to stress on this last page, documents and security. This is definitely a new thing for us. We do want to make sure all partners, at least once every 18 months, are just destroying all the files that they have related to any of the jobs they've done with us as far as drawings and models are concerned. Obviously, you guys need a hold on to your POs and sales orders and all that kind of stuff. But any drawings and models, just for a security standpoint, we want to make sure partners are destroying those at least once every 18 months. So that's definitely important. Just down right here. Okay. So now I think we could jump over to questions. We have a couple questions that came in already. It looks like this first one. Just read this one.
What is required for the new inspection process, and how does it differ from the old process? That's defined very clearly. If you have your guide in front of you on page 10, I spoke to earlier, if a CAD model supplied, the requirements, and if a blueprint is required, the requirements, or provided the requirements. It's really clear, at least to me, within the guide of what those requirements are. And again, you only have to, let's go back to our 10 attribute example. If there are 10 attributes on a print or a CAD model, you have to document them. You have to, if you have a print, you balloon them, and you have to write your actual measurements. That's all. It's very simple.
Yep. That's all right. All right, looking at next question. Can partners use their own inspection forms? And just regarding that, no, actually, we don't want partners using their own inspection forms. We definitely want you guys to get in the habit of using our inspection form. Especially if you guys are direct shipping to our customers, we want to make sure that you guys are using our inspection form at all times. I would say the only exception to using our inspection form is if you guys are doing a CMM report. I know, obviously, if you guys are running PCDMIS on a Brown & Sharp, or you're running Zeiss on a Calypso machine, obviously, doing, when you're running parts on your CMM, it's going to have its own template built into it. So that's obviously understandable in those cases. CMM reports are obviously acceptable. That's going above and beyond as far as quality in most cases. So, in that case, you don't need to use our form. But otherwise, we definitely want to make sure you guys are using our forms. And we also don't want you guys putting Xometry letterhead on your own forms. We want to make sure you guys are using the forms that we provide. You guys can download all the inspection forms right on your account. If you go to the job board, you go to your account settings, there's a download link in the bottom right where you guys can download the inspection forms. That's definitely important to us. Just, one thing that Bart always says is quality is consistency, right? So we want to make sure that everybody's using the same inspection forms. The inspection form that we have up there now is actually the same exact one that we use here in-house when we're doing our own inspections. So looking at the next question, when are final signatures on the guide required? And what happens if I don't sign? So right now we actually extended the date. I know this was a question initially when we put the last version of the guide out. We kind of wanted everybody to sign within, I think it was like a week or 1 week time span, which was definitely very aggressive. But we want to give you guys until March 1st to kind of look this over and make sure everything is clear on this. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to write it now, or if there's something you want to kind of sleep on a little bit longer, you can always write in questions to work@xometry.com. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as us internally and partners as well. This is a document that we're having you guys sign, we're keeping record of, and we want to hold you to it. So, we want to try to get everybody to sign by March 1st. And if you don't sign, then we will be reaching out to you just to kind of get your feedback and see why you haven't signed. That's something that the supply chain team will be doing, reaching out to partners and making sure we get as many partners to sign as we can.
To speak to what Brian just said, we would like all of our partners to sign by March 1st. That's a full month. So if you need a plant manager to look at it, if you need someone that's on vacation to look at it, that's perfectly understandable. But that does give you 1 full month to evaluate it, understand it, ask any questions that you might have about it, and we will work together and provide resolution for you. So rather, the first time we put the guide out, we were hasty in only giving everyone a week. That was too aggressive on our part. So you have a full month till March 1st to sign off on it, and then we can move forward in a customer-supplier relationship that we're trying to develop.
That's right, yeah. And if anybody doesn't sign by March 1st, we will be putting any partner accounts that don't sign by March 1st on hold, and that's when we'll be doing the reach outs and just having that discussion to make sure we can get everybody on the same page.
Okay,
right.
Brian, I see another question.
Sure.
What is the inspection process if no print is provided, and do partners need to make their own drawings? If you turn to your partner guide on page 8, the first paragraph, down 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th line, it states, if a print is provided, it must be ballooned and correlate with your inspection report. That should be self-explanatory. If a print is not provided, we expect our partners to inspect the part to the CAD file and document 100% of the dimensions. I recall earlier in our conversation that Brian stated we're looking at resources to potentially help you if you don't have the capability to make a print from a CAD model. There are many ways to do that. If anyone runs Mastercam can do it right at the machine. Siemens NX, that software right on the machine, that can do it. SolidWorks. There's a lot of different packages out there, but we need to document everything on the CAD file. That's how we don't miss dimensions. That's how we don't miss features. And we can't stress that just making sure the parts are right and on time is what we're both trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's right. But obviously we do understand, and this was where we got a lot of pushback from partners. We do understand that not everybody out there has, the capability of making prints or, sometimes, whatever the case might be. Sometimes not everybody can make their own prints if they don't have a print. So, it's not something that we're going to require at this time, but like Bart said, we are looking at providing resources to either help provide prints or even, maybe get these types of software packages into more partners' hands so that you guys will have this capability in the future. But until we have a plan in place for that, we're not going to require you guys to make your own drawings if a drawing is not provided. But we do definitely need 100% of the dimensions inspected to the CAD model and documented accordingly. All right, we got another question up here. Can people manage jobs accepted before the latest revision per the old standards? And yes, that's absolutely acceptable. Obviously, if you guys haven't signed the new version of the guide yet and you're still working to the old standards, that's acceptable. We will expect some overlap. I know Bart has said that he still sees some parts coming through the door where clearly the old standards, when we say old standards, I mean the old partner guide. Obviously, if you guys haven't signed the new guide yet, that's more than acceptable. That's fair. But once you guys do sign the new guide, we want you to definitely adhere to it. So that's for sure. All right. Looks like we got some more questions as well.
For sheet metal, I assume tolerances stack up in italics across bends. Just want to confirm that point. 100% correct.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So if you have a part that has like 3 or 4 bends, you're going to be stacking plus or minus 20 across all of those, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's right. So that's definitely right. All right, what else do we have on here? Noted on your point of packing the parts carefully, but do you ensure the full value when you make the label, because FedEx can find a way to damage well-done parts?
That's a good question. They can.
That's a good one. So to that point, we do not insure the parts when we ship them. That's not something that we've done, because we do really expect partners to put in a lot of effort to really package parts well. And there are cases where we do see parts that are packaged very well, where somehow it's got a hole in the box or something like that. So, I mean, if there is a case where, maybe FedEx was a little extra aggressive on something that was wrapped very well, maybe that's something that we can discuss if a situation like that ever arises. But we do really want partners to do the best they can as far as packaging to help prevent any sort of issue like that.
And we've reached out to FedEx from our end, too. If a package comes in and there's a part sticking through the package, we will ask them exactly what did you do, why did you try to damage the part, so on and so forth. So we're trying to do everything we can from a receiving standpoint also.
All right, another question we got. What is required if the print has a note that only says anodized black, but no further standard or mil spec? Does it require a cert?
The answer to that question is yes. And I guess I would ask, when you send it to to your plater and you say black anodize, if they know the process that they're going to use, that's fine. But in my background, and I've been in machining for 30 years, any CSC from a plater is 100% free every single time. All they have to do is send you a sheet of paper, which it will say certificate of conformance, that they black anodized it, and if there is no mil spec, if there's no specific call out, that's fine. But you should have that piece of paper to cover yourself. Think about passivate, for instance. How do you know if the parts are passivated? How do I know when they arrive here that they've been passivated?
Clear anodized too.
Or clear anodized.
Yep.
We just don't know. So that's to protect you first and foremost, but it's also from our standpoint, from our receipt, that we have full coverage.
Yep. All right. What features, if any, are required to be documented on your inspection form if all we are provided is the CAD file? Or is it left up to us to determine what we do or do not inspect? So, that's a good question. I mean, at this point, until we do have the ability to get every partner a print, or have, the ability for partners to make their own prints, it can be it definitely can be a little subjective, but I think, Bart, you have some good guidelines that you use for your guys when we don't get prints, right? What does it usually say that we cover for this type of stuff?
Typically, what we do, if it's a CAD file only, you have the ability on your machine tool. If you don't have the software, if you don't have a formal inspection department, you have the ability on your machine tool to click one face, click the other face, and it shows you what the dimension should be. As you're going through your machining process, the easiest way would be to just document them right there. And when the part comes off the machine, you have the dimensions, you already have them written down. All you have to do is use a caliper and check it to those populated dimensions.
Yeah, and I think we always try to check like hole locations when you have a pattern, right? Counterbore depths, hole depths, blind hole depths, tap depths, etc., things like that. Well, I guess if you're typically if part's going to be tapped, you're going to have a print anyway. But
right.
But just I guess as much data as you can get. Obviously, it's going to be a little subjective, but usually when you're making the part, you can kind of see what features seem like they're critical, what widths, lengths, heights, etc., hole locations. We're going to be working to definitely shore that up and define it a little bit better. But yeah, obviously, the more data that you can collect, the better for quality. So it's definitely important.
Yeah, another thing that I've seen parts coming in is we will receive parts where a diameter is out of tolerance by, let's say, 20 thousandths. There's no possible way that part could have been checked and be out by 20 thousandths. Either there was an offset on the machine that was done incorrectly, but when things are off by a lot, I can understand a thousandths here and there, and I can understand tenths, because there's many different ways to check a part. But if something's off 20 thousandths, a quarter inch, I've seen a quarter inch, that tells me that the part was not checked, or there is some flaw within the process that let it get out your door and get to us. And those are the things we're trying to solve.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. We have a current job with 11 different parts. Almost all the inspection documents are complete. We used our own format. Should we proceed with the shipment or start over using Xometry's inspection reports? So that's a good question. I would say, kind of like what we said before, well, I guess if you're still in the old process, if you haven't signed this new document yet, then I guess technically, it's really whatever was in the last process, which I guess we didn't really require using the Xometry form, but we really would like you to use the Xometry form if you can, and moving forward, once you do sign this document, that's really what we want you to do moving forward. If the parts were checked on a CMM, then obviously that's an exception. The CMM comes with its own template and everything, and that's more than acceptable. But if you can, if it's not too much work, if you can move that over to a Xometry template, that's really what we want to see. It's what we prefer. Quality is consistency, so that's really what we want to see.
Another question just came in. Sometimes inspection tools are not ready available, so I cannot accept a job that I don't have a way to inspect. The tools are expensive, and I cannot afford to purchase a full set to have on hand in case I ever get the job. I feel like this is not unique to me. Specifically, ring gauges for checking M4H7 pins machined on a part. Understood. Understood completely. Ring gauges are very expensive. If you accept jobs that, let's say there's a press fit and you need Deltronic pins, which are typically intense, those are expensive.
Well, you could check it with overwires, though, right, Bart? Could you check an M4 with overwires, or?
No, if you need a ring gauge, not really. One thing that I used to use, and I think you can buy it from MSC, if you're talking about an external thread, I see you're talking about ring gauges. It doesn't say thread ring gauges. But one thing I'd like you to be aware of, I've talked to a lot of people here, even our inspectors, and they've never seen these. For roughly $35 to $50, you can buy thread triangles out of MSC, and they have little rubber boots that actually fit on a mic, and you can literally check any diameter thread that you have a mic big enough for. They're made to be put on a 0 to 1. You can put them on a 11 to 12 inch mic. It comes with there's some tabulation within the package that you buy it, and you don't have to buy thread ring gauges, for external threads, things like that. But there are a lot of different ways to check these parts, and hopefully down the road we're going to have more webinars regarding such topics as metrology, checking parts, things like that.
Oh yeah, so it wasn't actually for threads, but it looks like it was just for cylindrical pin or diamond pin features. But I mean, if there's anything that you don't feel comfortable checking on your own, I know, especially because, so my team, we do a lot of the contract review before we even put the stuff on the job board, and I know a lot of times we see customers that are trying to order things that have like custom features, or for instance, if you have like an M20 hole, I mean, who has a gauge for an M20, right? I mean, that's not something you just have lying around in your inspection department. For things like that, we're trying to actually encourage our customers to help provide the necessary equipment to actually inspect those parts, or Acme threads, or anything wild like that. I mean, we don't expect you to go out and buy a $500 Acme thread gauge to check an Acme thread on a part. We're going to try to actually send that to you for that job. That's something that we're working on.
When those questions come up with a specific job, the best possible solution is to what's our email?
Work@xometry.com.
Just send in a question to work@Xometry, and either Brian or myself will address it on a one-on-one basis. That's the best we can do, because quite possibly we may have a different method to check it. Two heads are better than one.
Yeah, that's right. And we are trying to make sure we have the resources here internally to answer all your questions. It doesn't hurt to ask any questions. We always want to try to get back to you guys as soon as we can to help out with these types of issues related to quality. It's definitely really important to us. The quality, the parts that you guys are sending out, they have our name on them too, so we want to make sure they're good quality parts. All right, we have another one here. We cut our own thread gauge on one of your jobs. What was that boot that Bart just mentioned? I want to check that out.
I know you can buy it from MSC. I believe they're called thread triangles, and all they are is a triangle with two turned ends, like dowel ends, and it has a rubber boot that fits on both of those ends, and then it slides onto your micrometer spindle. So you have two thread triangles, one for the anvil, one for the spindle. You just slide them on your mic, and it will fit right in any type of external thread. I haven't looked it up in MSC for a number of years. I know they still make them. You'd have to go on the big book, the big blue book, and type in thread triangles or thread measurement tool, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I wish I could tell you what page to turn to, but I just don't know offhand.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we only have a couple more minutes left for questions. So we'll take a few more questions now. All right. Well, it looks like we have another clarification on this one from before. What does it say here? The inspection issue cannot be resolved. The inspection issue cannot be resolved before accepting the job. So I guess.
Is there a way that you can get a query before a partner accepts a job?
Sure, yeah. So I know partners can write in before they actually accept the job to work at Xometry.com, and then we can take a look at that. But I know, you know, things can go fast on the job board, so I know that can be tough sometimes. You really want to, you know, secure that job. So I understand that. But yeah, I mean, if you guys do have time to ask a question beforehand, or you can even call into the main line, and we could try to address it, you know, before you accept the job. You can call our main line. It's 240-252-1138. That's 240-252-1138, and you can call in. And if you have any sort of questions like that, we could try to address it over the phone as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, we get a lot of questions from partners, but we're definitely trying to help you guys out. So.
And if as Brian said, if you have specific questions regarding measurement, metrology, tooling, gauges, things like that, don't hesitate when you send your email in your subject line to the attention Bart, because we get 300 emails every day.
We get a lot of emails, yeah.
And I have them all ready to my computer. But a lot of times it has to do with labels, things that I don't really get into. So in your subject line, if you would write to the attention Bart, yeah. I'll address those personally for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have a lot of people in our Tier 1 group that are sorting through all the different emails, so they can get that right over to Bart, and he can help you out with that. All right, is that it for questions? All right, it looks like we're all good. Thanks.
We're gonna hang out here for about 2 minutes unless anybody has any more questions, and then we're gonna call it a wrap.
Yeah, I think that's just about it. But thanks everybody again for attending. This was really good. Like we said, if you have any other additional questions, feel free to write in to work@xometry.com, or feel free to call the main line. And that's it. Thanks again, everybody.